G'day and welcome back for more Space Engineers Survival. I've been given so many good ideas about what to do with the uranium that I kind of want to choose a whole bunch of them. And that whole bunch of them is going to start with stockpiling the stuff. And that's because I think one of the most useful ways to take advantage of our newfound uranium is to make eventually a sandbag 2.0. That second version of the sandbag will have a small reactor with some uranium on it so that we can get rid of the large solar panel that's on it and potentially even get rid of the decoys so we can use the decoy ball instead. If we do that, we'll be able to make the sandbags a whole lot smaller and still probably work just as well, if not better. Yeah, eventually we'll run out of uranium and that'll be a problem, but I'm pretty sure that it'll last a very long time. Even if I only put a kilo or so into each reactor, I still think it'll last much longer than we are likely to end up needing them to last. On top of that, I really want to build some rockets and eventually some player-made weapons and missiles as well. My plan ultimately is to try and attack each base in a slightly different way, or a very different way. A lot of them will be completely impractical, but hopefully they'll be a lot of fun anyway. I think the first base attack will probably end up using some decoys dropped from the air as we simultaneously attack by ground vehicle. And the main reason for that is I really want to build a big tank. I genuinely do not have another good reason for why I want to do that. But basically I want to build a tank so that this isn't my only military ground vehicle. Plus, I kind of like the idea of driving up to the base just before I end up getting into range, dropping a whole bunch of parachute-loaded decoys, and then just driving my way in, picking off the turrets. And I've got an idea in mind as well for when we get inside the base, so we can deal with any interior turrets that might be in there as well. And I'm going to keep that one up my sleeve until we get to a point where we can actually do that. But it's night time, which means I'm probably not going to be doing any driving around. I'm also not super keen to take the butterball out, even though it can fly at night with some degree of safety with the number of lights it's got on it. What I think I'm going to do instead is continue digging out the new hangar. And to do that, we're going to need to move this projector, as I want to project these parts deeper into the mountainside. And so let's get around to moving that first. Once we've dug probably another drilling guide's length into the mountain, I want to see where we're lining up compared to the current base. So we'll need to do that as well. And I have an idea of how to do that so that we can actually see where we're at, just using GPS markers and not doing anything more complicated than that. Another thing I wanted to point out that was mentioned in the comments, and I think is a great idea, is at the moment I've got this all laid out with armor blocks. That's more to give me an idea of the shape that it is an actual intent to do this all with armor blocks. I'm possibly going to attempt using some of Showerstall's catwalk blocks to create sort of a grating feel on the bridge so we can actually see through to the massive drop below, which could be kind of dramatic and nice to look over, as long as it doesn't end up with a situation where we're going to well, kill our performance because of the blocks, but I think Shoustall's stuff's actually relatively efficient, despite its appearance. Let's move this forward a block so that we've got it exactly where we need it to be. One of my first goals with digging out this hangar is to get a temporary connector setup going in it. One that's actually hooked up to the inventory system in the base so that I can bring the butterball, the ugly duckling, and even bring the tick inside here and clear up everything that's at the front of the current bit of the base. And hopefully, if I dig out enough of this, I'll have a rough idea of where I want to put that, so it won't be too far from the final position. But even if it is, that's okay, because we'll probably end up having to do a fair bit of adjustment later anyway. I think this time around, since it doesn't need to be quite so perfect, I'm actually going to try and see how effective the butterball is at... What the... Okay. What? What is going on? What's happening? Looks like half of the thrusters are off. Huh. Yeah, why? What? Why are all the thrusters off? Uh-oh. Let's turn our lights on so we can see. Why are only a few of the thrusters turning on? I wonder if the recharge script is misbehaving. Let's go with... I think some of the thrusters might have done something strange. Alright, let's see if this fixes everything up. Park, unpark. Yay! I think somehow all but a few of the thrusters had inverted their settings, which makes a whole lot of no sense whatsoever. Oh, there we go. Now we can see. And that, yeah, that wasn't good. Alright. Let's come down. We've dug out all the guide bits. This should be very quick to get rid of all of the rest of this chunk. Maybe I didn't need to use the ugly duckling the first time. This is actually pretty easy to control and keep accurate. I'll probably end up using the butterball for most of the remaining mining now, since it is quicker. Alright, that was quick and accurate. I like it. I like it a lot. If we use our spotlights, and if I sort of zoom out, you can get an idea of the scale a bit better. With the butterball in here, you can see that this is going to be a pretty large hangar. Should be capable of holding something fairly substantial, and if you think about a truck that's got to hold the butterball, it's going to be around the same width, maybe a little bit wider, and certainly a lot longer. So it's going to need to be able to turn on that, which is why I've gone for something so large. Alright, let's pop this down here for a second. And we'll turn off our thrusters. Pop out. What I want to do is try and get an idea of where we are in relation to the base. You can see the entry there, but what we can actually use is the fact that this is a squarish, well, rectangular end to the tunnel. So if I make a point in each corner, we'll be able to sort of orient ourselves to different places relative to this when we go up into the base. So if I go 1, 2, 3, and finally the fourth one down the bottom here, these four GPS markers, one in each corner of the current hangar space, create a nice flat plane. And we know that we're in line with this side if these two line up, and we know we're in line with this side if these two line up roughly. So if I now fly back up to the base, and I might leave the butterball here for the moment. It's got plenty of power. If we fly back up into the base, we can wander around in the hallways and try and figure out where those markers line up. And turns out, directly under here is one edge. The other edge is somewhere into this wall, probably 3 or 4 more blocks. If we're lining up here and this is the row where that edge or that wall of the current hangar is, we might be able to think about having an elevator in here. So if I drilled out more of this wall here, we could have an elevator that goes down that actually is entered from the side of the hangar bay, which would be kind of cool. Or we could keep drilling, and if we go down in here, where are those markers? They're still quite a bit deeper than here, aren't they? But not too much. We're actually almost under here. What I might do is I might actually drill straight down, because I think this might be the quickest way to get a connector under there. And I don't think there's going to be all that much exposed rock down there, so if I drill out a bit that I didn't intend to, I'm sure it'll be fine because I'll just cover it up with blocks anyway. But let's drill a little bit here, especially since we've got this connector here too. Let's see just how far it is. 27 meters, that's like 10 blocks. And with these two lined up, I can actually, if I keep them lined up, make sure that I'm drilling in a fairly straight line. And here we go. Straight through. Straight shot into here. Oh yeah. That's actually worked out pretty well. 10 blocks is... yeah, it's a fair way. It's going to be an enormous lift if I need to build it. And, it's going to be a lot of stairs to climb up. But... certainly doable. What I think we should do now is potentially at least bring some blocks down. But if I'm going to bring blocks down, I may as well just bring pipes down. What do I need to lay out the pipes? I need lots of construction components. Okay, we can do that. Let's just drill this a bit wider so I get a bit of a clearer idea of where we're going to want those pipes to come down. Because we'll probably need more space so that we can move in and out anyway. Ah, that worked out well. Because now I can probably just do a straight line down with the pipes. We'll always be able to upgrade this later, so that's fine. Let's do it on that side. 1, down we go. So now we need one of these. Actually, probably should build that on this layer. With the signs the correct way up. Build that there. I have no idea where this is going to end up in relation to the base, but oh well. Oh, I'm going to need an interior plate so that I can place down the conveyor junction that I need. So what we need down here is a connector for the butterball, a connector for the ugly duckling, and a connector for the tick. Those are the 3 vehicles we've got at the moment, and they all need connectors. So that's 2 vertical connectors, I should say, and 1 horizontal. So let's bring this out a little bit this way. So if we arrange these pipes like this, we'll have enough room between this one, or either side, to get the ugly duckling on. And the reason I've placed this many down is that I expect I'll use these temporary connectors for a welding drone as well, and I'm not sure. It may be a horizontal connector, but if we do that, we'll be ready to go either way. And I can eventually pipe these up, but for the time being, if I just want to connect them, I could even just weld up these connectors. And to start off with, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So we'll jump back once I've done that. I'm going to queue up a bunch of extra parts because we need a huge number of pieces of construction for all of this stuff. And now that the sun is up, we've actually got a connector. So let's park the butterball on there instead of leaving it just resting on the rock floor. Let's bring the butterball in and connect up. Park. Okay, let's check if the connector on the butterball can access the base inventory. So if stuff can get from the front access cargo container into the connector, we're good, and vice versa. So we can take this stuff out of the connector. No! Why? Why not? Where is it broken? Huh. Alright, this link is broken somewhere. It's not along here. That's all fine to there. This one's built. Aha! I found the piece. Ah, the system wasn't broken. I was broken. I was missing a bit. Let's check this out again. Come on. Work. Yeah! Yeah! Alright. Phew. Well, as much as I'm keen to sometimes blame this on space engineers, that was definitely a splitsy bug, not a space engineer's bug. Let's park that on there. Let's turn off some of the lights so we don't use the power. And the butterball is parked down here. Except we probably shouldn't have done that because it's going to make it really hard to access this cargo container, this connector, which would be the easiest way for me to rebuild the rest of this stuff. And we are done. We have our cargo system fully connected up down here. Now for the fun challenge of bringing our other ships down here. And I'm going to get rid of this little line of blocks here, as that's going to make it very difficult for our little tick to get in here. And I might just place a few of these along here to make it a bit of a ramp. Although I could probably fly in using the vector thrust on it. What else I want to do is I want to line up and connect these blocks because we may still need power on that projector. And I want to connect them up to this system we've got here so that I can remove those other ugly ones outside and we can finally clean up the front of the base. There we go. Nice progress. Let's grind these away. So I do not want to have to see them around. Maybe I will leave the projector there for now. But let's get the tick connected up to the base. Take off the park brake. And let's try and actually drive this one in. Being fairly small and light, it should be really quite easy to drive over. And you can see here that maybe I will need to cut out a bit of that terrain on the left there. And I probably should have reversed in, because this is going to turn into an Austin Powers style 5 billion point turn if I don't use the gyroscopes. And the gyroscope should... Yeah, there we go. Alright. Do we connect? Yes, we do! Ha ha ha! Yeah. Alright. I'm really excited about this. The hangar is so far from being complete, yet I kind of like that we're able to park inside now. It just feels like big progress, really. Big progress. Did military yesterday, doing civil today. What sort of engineering is going to be next? Explosives? Who knows? Alright, I am going to grind away everything else at the front. If we need another projector system, we can rebuild it elsewhere. Now, the big question. Do we want to leave these pipes in here, or do we want to get rid of them? And I think we might get rid of them. Let's grind away this and let's have a look. If we do away with all that, place down a light armor block there. Probably better if it actually color matched to what's existing. And although I did kind of like the industrial aesthetic that they had going on, I do think that if we can get rid of them, this is actually going to look better. Oops. Somehow I ended up with the wrong color again. There we go. Got our roof back, and that means... Oh yeah. That means we can do lights. Now, I think doing the lights like that in a couple of spots might be good. I would use these hanging lights because I really do like their volumetric fake... Well, they're fake volumetric effects, but they are spotlights, which means they're very processor expensive. And that ends up being less than ideal. So let's grab a few of those, and if we have one set of lights there, maybe if we put another one here. So we'll select that, we'll up their radius until we see the floor start to get light. Probably want it to go out to... We probably do want it to go out about there. And we don't need it quite so intense. Oh, it's letting us go below the usual 0.5. We'll go with 0.5 because we've got two lights that are going to overlap rather than having them both with high power and make everything overly blown out and bright. We can double up with a lower intensity. So we get the style of the model as well as a more appropriate brightness. Let's see. It's pretty dark in here, at least compared to outside, but considering we're a solar powered base, I think that's reasonable. Next up, let's do these ones too. With this one, I'm just trying to line the light up just barely onto the door, so the door itself gets lit, but nothing much beyond into the next room, so that if I want to do the lighting differently in the hallway, I can. Drop that intensity down. And we've got interior lights. We've got functional interior lights. We will probably want a light switch, and we probably don't need this anymore. Because that was all just part of me being silly and missing that I hadn't actually fully constructed something. Gah! Silly, 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 silly. Now, where's the light switch? Let's use the wall switch. And... yeah, we'll place one here. I think that's the most sensible place. There we go. Now, we're going to need... can I access that? There we go. Let's go corner lights. There we go. And this will be mess hall lights. Save. No longer show block in terminal. Then we can actually use this and groups. And where's mess hall lights? Toggle on and off. And now we just have to click on the switch and we have light or no light. So something I really want to do that I keep getting told to do and I think will look amazing is if we grind away that window and then what if we build in here this way? Oh yeah, that's about what I wanted. Ah, here we go. Alright, we want a little more radius because we want this to go up this rock wall a bit. Maybe about halfway. And I want to make the color different. I think we'll go for a nice soothing bluish tinge. Maybe something like that. Let's see how that looks. And let's put our window back in. That is kind of cool. So that's the sort of thing I want to do with each of these rock indents. Is just kind of light them up with a little bit of some bluish color like that. I was thinking initially red, but I actually like the slight spookiness of this look, especially through the tinted glass. And even when we have other lights in the area, you'll still get that impression of that blue. Cool. Yeah, we'll have to do that with all of the other windows, but I'll save doing the rest of it until we have the hallway entirely complete. I just figured I should do one, otherwise when I do the hallway, I'm almost certainly going to forget about it, which would be so annoying. And while I'm on some of the smaller but potentially cooler base improvements, a few people suggested to me, and I really do like this idea, of using M-Master's automatic LCD scripts and putting a bunch of cargo-related LCDs up here. And I might even do something a little bit special and slightly role-playing-y with a few of them. I know role-playing-y isn't a word, but you know what I mean. It'll work, I'm sure. So that's some of the plans. The other plans for the base, now that we know where the hangar connects and that it's deep enough that it'll go straight under the refinery, which is excellent. I didn't plan that, but I was hoping for it. That means we should be able to use this area through here as a bit of a living area, and we'll put some accommodations in there and put the medical bay properly in there. And then what I think would be nice is potentially having this wall open up and end up into an elevator that goes down to the hangar. Rather than having it so close to the front of the hangar, I think having it back here could make for some interesting design of the little pods that I hope to have for each of the ships later on. And I might even do some sort of display thing for the Ugly Duckling, because let's be honest, it's sort of my mascot now. I couldn't possibly destroy it. I couldn't possibly remodel it. The only thing I can do with the Ugly Duckling from here is keep adding ridiculous functions like this and these landing gear. Basically, if it doesn't make it uglier, I can't really do it. The Ugly Duckling, you are just too weird looking to ever change. On that note, I'm going to head off down to the mines, because I'm sure I'm going to run out of iron sooner or later. And it could always be useful to have some more. All of those base upgrades and plenty more to come. So I'll see you then.